a school which I flunked out of. And then I ended up in the 91st Infantry Division in Corvallis, Oregon, and that's what I was overseas with. I wasn't an infantry soldier, I was a combat engineer. So if you got mines in your yard, I can take care of those. And while the war went on, I got some pictures here. They're not necessarily of the war, but of the time I was there. If you take a look at it. I had a camera in my pocket, and I took an unauthorized swim one day with the camera in my pocket. It didn't help it any. And I think the guy we needed here was Don Cowan. How many of you remember Don Cowan? Don Cowan was
My teacher.
a teacher here at bookkeeping and typing and stuff. He was on the cruiser in Indianapolis when it was sunk. And there were 1,600 men on the boat, about 700 up hit the water, and only about 200 of those survived down the river. It was quite a contest. And I was in Italy for 14 months. The last 2 months we got to do a little sightseeing, so I've seen several things around. That's all I think. If you ask me questions, I'll probably answer them.
Tell us what your experiences were, some of them right now.
Well, after I went in, I got sent to Guam, and that's where I spent my rest of my Air Corps career. And wasn't very eventful, but I guess we were there for a reason.
What was your job? What was your job in Guam?
In the motor division of the Air Corps. We were supposed to repair things.
Did you have things to repair?
Usually had things to repair, yeah.
You like airplanes, like trucks, like
Mostly trucks.
trucks? Okay. Can you still do it?
What's that?
Can you still do that? Can you still repair?
I doubt it.
Did you happen to make any provisions for your children to know how to do that? Did you teach any of them about your mechanic skills?
Not too much, no.
Alright. Thank you. Okay, Brad, do you have a little more you'd like to say?
As an example of how long I've been around here, I moved to Dayton in 1992, well, 52. Zella was a freshman.
So was Gerald.
So was Gerald.
Gerald's still a freshman.
I was a teacher in the high school, and I was here for 30 years. I had a 3-year-old daughter with me, my wife, and that daughter is going to be 70 years old next week.
Wow.
So I've been around a while. But now I live in Walla Within Village, and they do all kinds of things for me. Some things I don't want them to do, but they do it anyway. But I'm happy there because they feed me 3 meals a day. They get me up in the morning, they get me in bed at night, and I have a motor scooter over here to drive around in. And if you have some questions, I have some pictures here you might like to see, but this page, first page is what's on the picture, and then the picture is the number. But if you want to see those, I'll show them to you, or you can take a look and pass them around.
So Fred, you were interviewed by Dixie from the Red Cross for the Legacy Project,
Oh, yes.
and so Fred's got a DVD that's in the Library of Congress now.
Yeah,
So
that's
that
right.
is a project that the Red Cross does for any World War II vet or any veteran, really. So if you know a vet that has not had their interview that wants to visit with Dixie, she will do that, and the family will get a DVD, and the one DVD will go to the Library of Congress.
I have one of my kids that one too.
Uh-huh.
Really, Dixie does a good job.
She does an excellent job. She's very good. Thanks, Fred, for doing that. That was a hard
It was
project
fun.
for you.
I don't know how many years ago it was that my son Fred there was sitting around a friend of mine that had been in the service with me. We were sitting around talking one time, and he said, "Dad," he says, "you got to get all that on record." So between he and the daughters and everything, he urged me. So I spent some time a few years ago and I wrote out something. I called it My Story of World War II, which I have someplace. I think there's one here and I have some more. But some of it's interesting, some of it's not.
This fellow here is actually my class advisor from school.
Ours too.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah, see all these people, you remember them all?
Everybody.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Okay, Jack, what did you do in the service?
What did I do in the service? I laid on my back in that Army hospital for
Right,
7.5 months with rheumatic fever. And that was in October, November, December, clear up until May or June of the next year of 1944. And they give that base in Denver had 2 barracks full of rheumatic patients. There was 18 patients in a barracks, and there was two of those barracks were full of rheumatic fever patients, anywhere from 43 years on down to 18 or 17 years of age. And during the latter part of the last couple months of my business in the Air Force, I didn't get to fly except they give us a flight out of the Denver Air Force Base down to Keesler, Mississippi, Biloxi, Mississippi, to be in a hospital where the warmer climate was. They did not have penicillin in 1943, and that's why we got sick. And we couldn't get over it. And I was down in Biloxi, Mississippi in a hospital for about six weeks, something like that. They decided to give us all a medical discharge. And I had about 5 or 6 days, less than 1 year in the Air Corps. And I flunked out of being a cadet the minute I had heart problems. They gave me a ticket home.
So then when you got out, you were how old?
Pardon?
Well, how old were you when you got out of the service then?
I was 18.
18,
Yeah.
okay. Uh-huh. Yeah, wow. Rough way to start your life.
Yeah.
Does anybody remember that we had POWs here from Germany at the Green Giant? Do you remember that?
I do too. They built a lot of the highway between here and between Lewiston and Gilbert.
Really? How did they get here? Well, I don't know how they got here. How did they get here, Lowell? I mean,
Train.
well, yeah, but I wonder why they picked Dayton for those
They had them.
POW camps.
They had them in every city just about.
Yeah, Wawa had a big.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pomeroy had some too.
They did. Okay.
Well, didn't they lock up some Japanese around here too?
Yes.
They did.
Yeah.
So how do you think that the service has changed from when you were in to today? Do you see any big changes?
First day out of the when I got to Fort Douglas, Utah, before I went over to Denver, they give us tests, psychomotor tests and everything, and about half of us passed the Air Force test, and the ones that didn't pass ended up down in Lubbock, Texas, and we're the first guys across the Cernario beachheads over in France. And luckily, I didn't get to fly, but I also didn't get shipped overseas.
So do you see any changes in the service today as opposed to when you were in there?
The way the Army is run, you mean?
Yeah.
I can't tell you.
Oh,
I
okay.
wasn't in there all day.
Okay. Fred, would you? There you go. Thank you.
One of the things I've noticed, you get all these people come back and have lost their legs in an explosion. In World War II, they wouldn't be here. They would have died. Because we didn't have the things then that you have now. Because they've got better medics, they have better surgeons, and they have helicopters. You can get them from one place to another, which we couldn't do then. We didn't have a chopper. I remember the infantry working, the only way to supply them was up with the trail, and you either walked in chariot or you put it on a mule. So if you were wounded up there, if you could walk, you walked. If you couldn't, you rode a mule, or two guys carried you. If you had lost a leg, you were done for, because you couldn't get you out of there in time.
Okay, Lowell, you want to take what things have you seen that is different to you from when you were in there?
Well, I think one of the things you notice is the military is, I think, respected a lot more now than there was a period of time that they weren't respected. I can remember incidents riding on a troop train that was connected to a passenger train, and it was almost dangerous walking through into the passenger cars. And that, I'm glad that's all passed. But I guess, I don't know, I think their service is a lot better now than it was then. There's different aspects of it that sure have improved.
So why do you think the passengers were so anti-military?
I don't know, it was, whether it was just a group of them or whatever it was, but the MPs and the SPs around there were very busy.
Wouldn't we all have to agree that the military pay is so much better now than it was when any of us were? Yeah.
How much did you make?
I started out at $21 a month.
Yeah.
Wow. And Brad?
I got $50 a month, but then because I was in combat, I got a lot more. And then promoted it to a private first class, and I got an extra $4, which was a big deal. And something else is,
Well, it got a little better. I got $72.
And he was married.
What did you do with all that money?
We used to fight over the little cereal bowl that came in the oatmeal box.
the other thing is, when I first arrived in Dayton, I had relatives here, but I arrived in Dayton in 52. The woods were full of people like me. And then as time went on, and then Tom Brokaw wrote a book called The Greatest Generation, which I happened to be one of them. This hat I'm wearing has earned me several dinners. I'd be eating someplace, all of a sudden, I go to pay the bill, and the bill is paid, which is pretty handy, but you never know who did it. That's one of those things.
Jack, how much did you make?
I didn't hear you.
How much money did you make when you were in the service? What was your pay rate?
I come almost blank. I can't remember. I know when I was out, I was only making $70 a month.
70.
Yeah, something like that.
Got a lot better during Vietnam. When I started, I got $98 a month.
Wow. All right. Okay. So can you imagine putting your life on the line for $70 a month? Or you said, how much did you get?
20-some.
20-some dollars a month. You know, that's terrible. I just can't believe we treat our veterans like that, you know.
But they fed us good.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, good. I'm glad of that. Okay, did you have some other things you wanted to visit with us about, Fred?
When I get home, I'll think of all kinds of things.
So were any of you in Europe? In any of the campaigns over there? You were in Italy? Okay. Right.
So, Fred, was your job repairing two building roads and things?
Well, we patched them up. We didn't build them. We just patched them up.
Okay.
One of the places that they marked by where I slept. I had, you're so tired sometimes you could sleep sitting on the fence post.
Yeah.
But when all they were on the farm there in Italy, and two-story house, wood, stone house. And the bottom floor was a barn, and the top floor was where people lived. And so we had a couple of people there and two kids. And so we pulled in there, and they had oxen in the bottom. Oxen is what they use for farm animals. And so there was a manger there. I'd been around cows, so I knew what it was. And it was dry, and it was raining to beat the devil outside. So we pulled in there, and there's a little old gal standing there in the manger eating a little bit of hay, and I just moved her over a little bit, put my blankets in there, and got in there with her. I slept in the manger, and she kind of muddled at the hay most of the night, but I slept very nice and warm and dry. In the morning, we gave each one of the kids a big chunk of chocolate in the web, and the husband a couple of cans of Prince Albert tobacco, and everybody was happy, and we drove away.
Great. Do you remember anything like that? Well, you've just been in the hospital all this time.
Well, I can give you a couple of examples
Okay,
of what
sure,
happened.
great. You bet. Go ahead.
The day I got discharged, one of my buddies was from Seattle, and we both got out at the same time out of the hospital, and they gave us a bus trip over to someplace in the state there and put us on a train to Chicago. Anyway, my buddy and I got on the train, and the train cars along like that, and they could swivel front to back. If you wanted, you could face both of the seats that way so you could visit. And there was a blonde and a brunette got on the train, and they come and sat down right in front of us. And I wanted to know if they could turn their car around so they could talk to us, and we agreed. And the next thing, one of the girls, the blonde girl, I said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Dayton, Washington." She about fainted. She says, "I just dropped my husband off the seashore. He's headed overseas. He got drafted, and I won't see him anymore." Here she was. She lived in Dayton, Washington, also.
Who was that?
I can't remember. Her husband was a Smith Hughes teacher. Marv Evers' job that Marv Evers had in the school. Ag teacher.
Okay. Wow.
Anyway, we got off in Chicago, and the gal from can't remember the blonde girl. She didn't want to be in Chicago all by herself, and she had two bodyguards. She said, "I want one or both of you guys to stay here, and listen, I want to see the town." Well, none of us agreed, and so my buddy got on the train with me, and we headed for North Dakota, where his wife was, and I kept on going to Spokane. Anyway, that's about the only experience I had on the train.
Lowell, would you like to talk to? Oh, no, go ahead.
My son Fred says in the booth back here they have me listed as the ag teacher. I was not the ag teacher, I was the industrial arts teacher. I was over there 20 years forever here again.
Did you have any experiences you wanted to share with us? Any funny things that happened or bad things? All right. Are there any questions for these guys? Have any questions at all?
I do.
Yeah.
So when you were in Italy and you were fighting, they were fighting the Germans, right? With pardon me? No. And anyway, so what other? Of course, the Italian military were also fighting against the
Italian
Germans.
military had been defeated.
Oh, they were defeated.
But Mussolini was the guy. The only people that shot him, hung him up to dry.
So the Americans went over there to help fight against the Germans, right?
Well, there were several divisions there. The British there, and French, and all kinds of different people there. There was probably 6 or 8 divisions. 3rd was there, 6th was there, whatever. Went up through it. Something was happening. Almost 1,500 of the people I went over with are still there.
So how long did it take to win that battle?
I got there about the 1st of June, and it was about 14 months later, 12 months later. I was always glad I was there instead of doing an invasion of Europe, because those guys really got chewed up. Question?
Have anything else you'd like to add?
So Fred, as a teacher, what were your feelings or what were your thoughts about the history that the kids are learning in school? Does it portray the right history? I mean, is it accurate? Is it enough? Do you know?
Well, like I say, when I first came here, if you were a veteran, that was a big deal. No, well, it was not a big deal, but everybody was. There were veterans every place, and then here, there's only 5 of us left in the county.
Right. But I mean, the history the kids are taught in school.
In the history books
Do
themselves.
they do justice to the truth?
Well, I can't answer that because I'm not teaching history.
Right.
But I think it depends on, well, they don't make a new book every year.
No.
And so if you had 10 years, I suppose it's treated, but it's like the Civil War, it depends on what you get.
Yes, actually, I think that a lot of the history books today do not teach a lot of the older things that went on. You know, they're updating it, and now they just have the newer, you know, like Vietnam. Maybe they might touch on that a little bit, but World War II is probably just mentioned, and that's it. There's no detail or anything about it, just the time that it was going on. So we want to thank you guys so much for coming out today in this horrible weather, and we hope you'll take a look around the pavilion and enjoy yourselves. Go have a lunch on us, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you. If you have any questions or want to visit with these folks, please come up and do so. Thank you.